Hey everybody, it's Mark, Dr. Deadwax here, and cheers and happy Thanksgiving. It's Thanksgiving here in Canada, and tonight's video is brought by one of the old regulars, Mill Street Tank House Ale. So today I'm going to do the first in my Dr. Deadwax's inbox challenge. And I'll kind of explain what the idea is. I love to crate dig, and I love to get a good deal, and I love to buy a lot of records. And a year ago when I started making videos, I had about 1,200 records in a backlog in the inbox. I had bought, in the year before that, I'd bought a couple collections with like 300 or 400 records in them, and just a whole bunch of other usual crate digging and stuff. So the inbox was a little big a year ago. The inbox is up to 2,000 now. So I have 2,000 records sitting here. Most of them are in this room that I have bought, but I still haven't even had a chance to clean and listen to. So the goal is to knock some of that. I mean, a realistic amount. There's no way I can get through 2,000 records in less than a year, and I'm not going to stop crate digging, and I'm not going to stop buying records, because it's one of my favorite things, and it's one of the things I like to do for fun. So so recently I asked for people to give me some numbers, so and they did, and thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. I'm going to use those to help with the challenge. So basically what I have is I have these crates that I get from Target. They're like, what are they called? Itsos or whatever. They're like $9 or $10 each, depending on if they're on sale or not. And they're the same size as a standard record crate, except of course they don't have any handles or anything. And the records actually come up to here, so they don't stick out the top of them, so you can actually stack them. And as you can see, like, I have them stacked all around this room. There's like 4 behind that chair, and then like there's 6 of them there. And if you come over here, there's 2 of them there. Another one beside it here. There's a couple more down there. Under my desk, there's 4. And there's like 3 or 4 along here, and then there's a bunch more in the basement. So I've numbered them all like 1 to 25. I don't know if you can see the numbers, because I asked for 25 numbers. And each crate holds like a record, like a milk crate, usual kind of thing. Each one holds about 80 records. You know, it might be 70 sometimes, depending on if they're thick albums. It might be like 82, 85. So I'm going to work my way through the numbers that people have given me, and I'm going to count through the bin, pull the ones they said, clean them and play them. It'll be totally random based on what people suggested. If there's, I mean, it's unlikely, but if there's ever anything in the pull that I didn't like, I mean, I only buy records I kind of really want, but the odd time, very rarely, as you know, I buy stuff I'm not overly fond of. If there's ever anything in the pull I don't like, the person who suggested those numbers can have the pull I didn't like. Also, the intention is to do like an inter-Thanksgiving challenge. So I'm going to run this from today, which is our Thanksgiving, to, what is it, November 22nd, which is the U.S. Thanksgiving. So I think that's 45 days. So I know it's insane, and I probably won't get anywhere near doing it, but if I fail, the person whose day I fail on, they can have the pulls for that day, as that'll be like a prize for my failure. So I asked for 3, 4, or 5 numbers. I'm going to do 3 a day. The people who gave me 4 and 5, that gives me a bit more choice. Like, I have 5 pulls, and I can pick 3 of those. But the other 2 pulls will go into like an overflow pile because I didn't get enough people giving me numbers to get me all the way through 45. So everything that is suggested to be pulled, I will do. But I'm going to do 3 a day minimum. Maybe some days I'll do 4 or 5, depending on how keen or how tired I am. So anyways, that's the deal. I'm going to try and knock off a couple hundred out of the inbox in the next month and a half. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to make it. I'm going to do videos that are about 10 to 15 minutes long. I'm going to, try to do the same. I'm going to listen to them, try to give my opinions on everything as I always do, try and do some research on the dead wax as I always do. Some days there's a possibility that there's interesting correlations between the records, and some days there'll not. Some days there'll be records that everybody wants to see. Some days it'll all be crap. Some days there could be all jazz. Some days it'll be all over the map. Today, for the first pull, there actually was some connection between the records, which was kind of cool. And the person who had today was Gray. I can't remember Gray, and a bunch of numbers. Somebody I'm not familiar with, but thank you very much. I think he was a new subscriber. So that's it. Every day, going to pull something out of these bins based on the numbers I was given, count through, pull, and away we go. So wish me luck. So the first things, the first record was for today is Patti Smythe Horses. I picked this up recently. It was $10, which is an awesome deal, awesome price. This is on the Arista label. This is the pale blue Arista with the black lettering. The interesting thing about this is it says Sterling RL in the dead wax, and Mum plus Dad on one side, and Daddy Franklin plus Todd on the other side in the dead wax. This is a first pressing of this record, and it's actually quite valuable. Now, it's not the most valuable first pressing of this record. The most valuable first pressing of this record has dash horses in white, whereas this doesn't have the dash, and it has horses in black. Some people believe that that's the true first pressing. And I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure about that. There's no definitive writing anywhere proving that it is or it isn't. All subsequent pressings, reissues of this record, including the most recent one, have the dash white horses. But there are some from the very first run of this that have Patti Smith in black with black horses and no dash. Now, people say that it should have the white horses and it should be black letter A. However, if you look around online and you see what this has sold as, Patti Smith with the white horses has sold with, all with Robert Ludwig mastering, Sterling RL, have sold with a solid black background with blue lettering Arista, this label here, the blue with the white, black lettering, and it also sold with the baby blue with black lettering and a white A. So from past experiences with this kind of thing, I'm kind of leaning towards there being possibly several different first pressings that came from several different pressing plants. Like this record was pressed, I think, in 3 or 4 places in the US when it was initially released. This one here is from the it says PRC in the dead wax, which means it's from PRC Recording in Richmond, Indiana. So I have a feeling that this is equally as first, as it has the exact same dead wax as, like, not just the mommy daddy, but the exact same matrix codes with the 1-1 in it that the white one does. And I have a funny feeling that this was the way one place printed their jacket, and then it was subsequently decided that there should be a dash and horses to delineate, you know, more clearly that this record was called Patti Smith Horses. But who knows? Anyways, this is still, you know, it still gets $60 on a regular basis. The white lettering one can get $100 to $200 on a good day. But most importantly, find one that says Sterling RL in the dead wax, and it has the Mom plus Dad on one side and Daddy Frank Linda plus Todd on the other side, Sterling RL, and you'll get yourself a first pressing. And try and find one with the black horses because you'll pay less for it. Great record. Sounds fantastic. You know, I can't argue with it. It's a classic. It's you know, one of the landmark albums of the 70s, one of the landmark albums in kind of punk to early post-punk, you know, one of the landmark albums by a woman. It's just great, and it's really really gutsy. I think the Gloria might be the one that people know the best, which is a cover song. So that's the first record that was in the poll. Second one was this. This is Led Zeppelin II, yet another copy of this. This is a early U.S. pressing on 1841 Broadway, and the vinyl. This came with its nice original inner sleeve with advertising. So advertising of other current records, and it also had the can you see that? Focus 1841 Broadway on the label. So with this record, 1841 Broadway means it's an early pressing. 75 Rockefeller means it's later. SD 836 means it's early. It changed to like a KD number configuration later in 75, 76, 77, somewhere around there. I bought this just because I buy multiple copies of this record, and I didn't have this one, and this was a really clean one. It cost me $18. I was really glad to get it. This is an early pressing. It's not an RL, and the Robert Ludwig is kind of the tie-in between the three things I'm showing tonight. The definitive pressing of this is said to be the RL pressing from the U.S. However, other people would argue that the definitive pressing is the first UK pressing, which is, I've heard both. They're both amazing. I have an RL from the United States. I have a couple Canadian Red Atlantics. I have multiple copies of this record, and this is one of the cleanest ones I own. It sounds great. It doesn't sound as good as the RL. The RL has this very strong, powerful driving bass line to it that's incredibly crisp and incredibly clear. It's also mastered really hot, so if you ever listen to the two, like it and something else in comparison, you have to make sure you kind of match the volume levels, or anything else will sound kind of flat next to it until you get, you know, the similar amount of air being moved in the room. This has fantastic mids and highs. It might beat the RL there, but the RL has this, like I said, this crisp driving bass line to this music that only the Canadian pressing I've heard comes close in the UK. This does not have the bottom driving bass that does. So it's a good listening copy. For $18, it's great to find a Broadway. This probably could have been concurrent with the RL from a different plant, or it could have been slightly later, than the RL. It might have been part of the you know, in the second 50,000 that were pressed in the United States. But nice clean copy, you know, a little bit of finger wear and stuff, a little bit of foxing, but you know, tight corners. Can't go wrong for $18. And third record is Steve Kuhn and Ecstasy on Motility on ECM, and this has Steve Kuhn on piano, Steve Slagle on soprano, alto sax, and flute, Harvey Schwartz on bass, and Michael Smith on drums. And this is a fantastic record. And interestingly enough, this is also, this is a U.S. pressing, but this is also a Robert Ludwig pressing, and this is on, I believe this is a master disc RL as opposed to a Sterling RL. And now everybody, yeah, this is a master disc RL. Everybody says that, everybody thinks that RL, Robert Ludwig, is, you know, the go-to be-all and end-all mastering engineer because he's mastered some of the really hot titles like the Zeppelin II and stuff. And he is really good. For example, his Moving Pictures by Rush is the best pressing of that, and there's lots of things that his is the best. But I don't think he's always great, and this is one of my beefs. He does this record sounds fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think I don't have a non-RL pressing of this to compare this to, but the ones that I have of Kuhn Concert and a couple others, whoever was the in-house master at Polydor was actually doing a better job than RL on the ECM title. So maybe his strong suit was rock and not jazz. But yeah, for me personally, I think the best mastering engineer out there on a regular, consistent basis was Doug Sachs at TML. He did the Floyd records and Waiting for Columbus by Little Feat and stuff like that, and I think overall, I think he hit more balls out of the park, to use a baseball analogy. So what can I say about this record? This record is great. It's got that ECM sound. Some of it's pretty straightforward jazz, and some of it's pushing free, but not quite there. So still highly, highly accessible. Bittersweet Passages, the last song on side one, it is really pushing the close to the boundary of free. But it's not there, so I'm not the biggest free fan, so it really works for me. I love it when there's still some element of tightness and control, so that's great. And the title track is great. Motility, side 2 is fantastic. This is from 1977. Again, if you see this, I can highly recommend it. So 3 records relating to RL. 1 that wasn't an RL, but I do have it, and 2 Robert Ludwig's. And that is day 1 of Dr. Deadwax's Inbox Challenge, and I hope I make it to the end. And if I don't, somebody's going to get lucky. So have a great day, everybody, and cheers. Keep the record spinning.